The U.S. Supreme Court issues an unambiguous order and the president defies it. I think everyone agrees, or certainly that's a definition that I would embrace. That would be a constitutional crisis.
So that's Jeffrey Rosen of the National Constitution Center weighing in about, in this debate, how or when the U.S. ever gets to the point of an actual constitutional crisis. It's a phrase that some in Washington and beyond like to throw around amidst a host of legal challenges to the new administration.
Hey guys, what you're about to hear is nothing short of jaw-dropping. Attorney General Pam Bondi just exposed how violent criminals, MS-13 gang members, human traffickers are living right here in America, not hiding in the shadows. They're hiding in plain sight. They're working jobs. They're living in quiet neighborhoods. They're acting like nothing's wrong. And while they blend in, the courts, they're playing politics. She lays it all out: illegal immigration, executive power, the death penalty, and yes, even chatter about a third Trump term. Let's roll the clip so you can hear it directly from Pam Bondi herself. Then stick around, guys, because we need to talk about what this really means for our country.
Glad to have you. So let's start there. Is there any scenario in which the president gets an order or a final judgment from the Supreme Court in which he doesn't agree with it and he doesn't comply?
No, the president is going to comply with the law. He was overwhelmingly elected by an overwhelming majority of the United States citizens to be our commander-in-chief, and that's what he's been doing. Shannon, just since January 20th, we've had over 170 lawsuits filed against us. That should be the constitutional crisis right there. 50 injunctions. They're popping up every single day, trying to control his executive power, trying to control where he believes our tax dollars should be allocated. And saying he won by an overwhelming majority is so important because that's what the American people want. What President Trump campaigned on and what he won on. And he's implementing that agenda at a rapid speed. None of us can keep up with him every single day. And so it's just, we're going after all of these lawsuits. We're defending them all. We just got a great win. And we'll continue to fight every day.
You did. Friday night, 5-4 at the Supreme Court. You got a win with respect to cuts at the Department of Education. But the court did go against you on issues of foreign aid being paid out. How do you think these issues of executive power, when they get to the court, ultimately on the merits, will go? Because you know the court has told executives no when it comes to things like student loans or recess appointments.
Sure. I think we're going to be very successful on all these. So the one you just brought up, the DEI, that was Department of Education. So we represent all the various agencies, and all of these 170 lawsuits have to do with all the agencies across the board. This particular one, though, was very important because the court said that President Trump can control where our tax dollars go and what they're allocated for. And we do not have to spend them on DEI, and that's what was happening. So the ramifications of that are huge for our country, and that impacts every single agency. To give you an example of a case, Department of Defense. So we had, it's military readiness, and that's one of the president's top agendas, as is Pete Hegseth. So in the district court, a district court in D.C. ruled against us on military readiness, meaning gender dysphoria, ruled against us. We appealed that to the circuit court, and we won. The second we won, within minutes, Shannon, in California, they filed an identical lawsuit, and we lost. So that's what we're up against. It's basically a game of whack-a-mole with these district court judges around the country who have a tremendous amount of power. They believe they do, but that's why we're appealing all of these cases, of course, up to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, they're very busy. So you have several things that are sitting there now. So while you had the win on Friday night, a lower court judge on Friday night ruled against you with respect to, and I'm going to read this because I want to make sure I get his name right, Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, who is somebody who was living in Maryland. He was under an order not to be deported because of fears or danger that he may face back in El Salvador. The government has admitted there was an error in deporting him, but this judge has said you've got a deadline midnight Monday to get him back from El Salvador. There have been allegations that he is a gang member, that he's involved in human trafficking. This is what the judge said. That's just chatter in my view. I haven't been given any evidence in a court of law when someone is accused of membership in such a violent and predatory organization. It comes in the form of an indictment, a complaint, a criminal proceeding that has robust process so we can assess the facts. So would it be helpful in making your case, not only to the court, but in the court of public opinion, to show what you have explaining these allegations against him?
Yeah, and to explain to you, ICE has testified, members of ICE, that he is an MS-13 gang member. And the defense, his lawyers, have argued, well, he should be here because he was studying to be an electrician. Well, let me give you a comparison. I was just in our home state of Florida this week where we arrested 3 MS-13 gang members. These 3, it was a cold case, 10 years old. They are charged with violently stabbing an individual over 100 times as part of their gang initiation. One was arrested in Fort Lauderdale. One was arrested. He fled to Minnesota. Great police work, FBI, all of the agencies together. Border Patrol even caught him. One there. And then the other, ready for this, was a drywall hanger in the Villages in Florida. Hanging drywall. So the argument that because these people are living among us, these illegal aliens from El Salvador, means they're not part of a gang. That's how they're hiding. That's how they're succeeding. Last week, the days all run together. Last week, we were in half an hour from here, from where we're sitting right now in Virginia, and arrested another extremely violent gang member. He was the leader for the East Coast, one of the top 3 leaders for our entire country. And this guy was living in Virginia in a nice neighborhood. There were wreaths on the door. There were children's bicycles outside his neighbor's home. That's so frightening, and that's how they insulate themselves. So we have to rely on what ICE says. We have to rely on what Homeland Security says. They're our clients. And I firmly believe in the work they are doing, and we're going to make America safe again. That was President Trump's directive to all of us.
So Abrego Garcia, though, was not charged with any of these things, stabbings, murders, anything.
No.
He was never charged or convicted with anything. So is there a missed opportunity there for the government with this order to bring him back? Even if you could, if you did, would he then face charges here?
Well, yeah, and our jails are full of people. We want to send these people out of our country when possible. When we have charges of violent murder, we're going to keep the ones that are here. We're going to keep them here. We're going to charge them. We're going to prosecute them. The one in Florida I just mentioned, we had the victims' families in court with us, and that gives them closure. But the best thing to do is to get these people out of our country. And when that first plane left and landed in El Salvador, there were 261 reasons why Americans were safer. We have to look out for the safety of our country first and foremost, and that is Donald Trump's directive, and we're going to continue to do that.
Is there a reason that the attorney who argued this case on Friday has been put on suspension? Is it because you don't think he zealously advocated enough? Did he mishandle the case? I mean, he had to admit, as has been done in this pleading, the government made a mistake in deporting this guy.
So it's a pending matter right now. He was put on administrative leave by Todd Blanche on Saturday, and I firmly said on day one, I issued a memo that you are to vigorously advocate on behalf of the United States. Our client in this matter was Homeland Security, is Homeland Security. He did not argue. He shouldn't have taken the case. He shouldn't have argued it if that's what he was going to do. He's on administrative leave now. But yes, you have to vigorously argue on behalf of your client. As lawyers, we know that. That would be a defense attorney walking in, conceding something in a criminal matter. That would never happen in this country. And so he's on administrative leave now, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, I want to try to get to some other cases. The death penalty this week, you announced that you want the prosecution to seek that with Luigi Mangione, accused of gunning down United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Midtown Manhattan. Politico reacted to that with this line: how Trump loses Gen Z. I was in an airport a couple of weeks ago with a young woman that had on a sweatshirt with his face on it, and he was portrayed as a religious icon. There was a halo, kind of like a saint. What's your take on how the younger generation sees him as a bit of a folk hero, and Politico's assessment that it may cost you politically?
Shannon, the president's directive was very clear. We are to seek the death penalty when possible. And, you know, it hadn't been done in 4 years. I was a capital prosecutor. I tried death penalty cases throughout my career. If there was ever a death case, this is one. This guy is charged with hunting down a CEO, a father of 2, a married man, hunting him down and executing him. Yeah, I feel like these young people have lost their way. I was receiving death threats for seeking the death penalty on someone who is charged with an execution of a CEO. We're going to continue to do the right thing. We're not going to be deterred by political motives. You know, I've seen a protester walking down the street here, free Luigi. I mean, this guy's charged with a violent crime, and we're going to seek the death penalty whenever possible.
Okay, another headline. There's chatter about President Trump seeking a third term. He has said, quote, there are methods. Is this just one of his epic trolls? Or does he or do you believe there is a method short of amending the Constitution by which he could seek a third term?
President Trump has served one full term. He's on his second full term. He's a very smart man, and I wish we could have him for 20 years as our president, but I think he's going to be finished probably after this term.
Probably.
Well, the Constitution, we'd have to look at the Constitution.
It would be a heavy lift, and whether you get 2/3 of the Senate and House to go along with you, but is the concession that that's really the only way to do it?
It'd be a heavy lift.
Listen, guys, if you care about this country, do me a big favor. Hit that like button right now. This isn't fear-mongering. This is reality. Pam Bondi just gave us a look behind the curtain, and it's worse than most people realize. All right, let's start with what should be the headline across America. These are gang members, MS-13 killers, living quietly in our neighborhoods. One of the most violent criminals in the country, caught in Virginia. A nice street, Reeves on the door, kids' bikes outside. Guys, you'd never know it. And that's the whole point. They're not hiding in caves. They're hanging drywall, studying to be electricians. The same way terrorists hid in flight schools years ago, these guys are blending in. And the court systems, they're not listening to Homeland Security. They're not listening to ICE. They're listening to defense lawyers who say, he's just a student. Wake up, people. Then there's the war that's happening in our courts. Pam Bondi said it, 170, guy, this blows your mind. 170 lawsuits since January 20th. That's not normal. That's a coordinated attack on executive power. Lower court judges are doing everything that they can to block Trump's policies on immigration, on education, the military. We got a huge win at the Supreme Court on cutting DEI funding from the Department of Education. But every win is met with another loss in a different court. It's judicial, she even says, judicial whack-a-mole. And who loses? We do. And what about justice? Pam Bondi's going after the death penalty for a man who hunted down and executed a CEO in cold blood. And what's the response? Protesters saying, free Luigi. Gen Z calling Trump a tyrant. Bondi said she got death threats for seeking the death penalty. What world are we living in? Have we completely lost our moral compass? Then there's the big elephant in the room, right? Trump's third term. I love that that they were able to bring that up in this interview. Now, I know people are saying it's just trolling, just Trump being Trump. But the fact that it's even being talked about shows something bigger. Millions of Americans don't want him to leave. They've seen what life looks like without him in office, and they're done playing games. That should terrify the left. And it's why they're fighting tooth and nail to stop him. So here's what I want to ask you guys. Do you feel safe knowing MS-13 members could be living next door? Do you trust our courts to do the right thing, or are they too far gone? And are you ready for what's coming, guys? Because the fight isn't just political, it's moral, it's legal, and it's deeply spiritual. Let's talk about it, guys. Drop a comment down below. I want to hear from you. What stood out most in Bondi's interview that you just watched? Subscribe so you don't miss the truth that the mainstream media is not going to show you. And if you want to help the channel keep growing, guys, consider becoming a member today. Your support means everything to me. It helps us keep exposing what other people are trying to hide. Guys, this is Nolan Alders. Stay strong, stay informed, and stay in the fight.